Experiencing adultery is one of the most painful things any marriage can experience. Having the betrayal of the person whom you've declared your love to and who loves you most is something that is almost unfathomable to a person until it happens. I want to talk today about how to deal with a cheating husband. As a woman who has experienced infidelity in her marriage, what are the next steps? Now, I know that men are not the only ones who cheat. As a matter of fact, many women commit adultery against their husbands. Oftentimes, it's not as talked about. The men don't disclose it out of embarrassment, but it happens quite often. But that's not what we're talking about today. I will have a segment on that because it is very prevalent. Even if you're not caught, it is an important topic. But today I want to focus on women and what to do if you're in a situation where your husband has been committing adultery. This is one of the most painful topics to have to prepare for because it hurts me so much to know that women are suffering and struggling in this area, that they have relinquished their love to a man and that man has completely destroyed the trust and, most of all, the covenant. You may be wondering, how do you navigate this? Is it something you should tolerate? What are the next steps? What does God think about this? How to heal? It's a process. And because it's such a difficult conversation, my hope in this video is that you would just receive the love of God, the comfort and the love of God, that you will be able to experience peace in your soul and have clarity on what you're dealing with and some options of what you can choose to do. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name is Dr. Michelle Daff, and I love helping women to experience beautiful marriages, feminine appearances and behaviors, and of course, cultivating family, motherhood, and the love of God. So if you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here, and I hope that you leave this video with hope. Go ahead and sit back, relax, and let's talk. I choose to use the word adultery and not affair because adultery is the correct term. An affair often sounds like you're making light of the situation, and it can have multiple meanings, and none of them in this situation are pleasant. Adultery is when a person steps outside of their marriage covenant and engages with sexual behavior that is reserved for their husband or wife. I want you to know first and foremost that when it comes to marriage, it is a covenant. It is more than just a piece of paper being signed, and it's more than just two people deciding that they want to move from girlfriend to husband and wife. It is a law-abiding contract with God. God owns marriage. God owns sex. God owns the entire entity of marriage. When two people decide that they want to come together in the marriage covenant, they are including God in the center of that. The Lord takes ownership over that union, and that's the only avenue that marriage is actually honored. So, yes, the world may honor marriages in lots of different ways, but in terms of God and how He honors it, He says in the Word, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall become one flesh." That is Genesis 2:24. When you're married, you become one flesh. And spiritually, this is a covenant that determines many things in your life. Once you step away from that covenant and you decide that you want to have sex with another person, you have broken that contract with God. In the spirit, which is what you are as a person, you are a spirit living in a body. In the spiritual world, which is the world that dictates everything around us and everything that happens, that marriage is severed. It is broken. You have breached the contract. The covenant is no longer standing. So it's more than just a silly mistake. It's more than just an act. Sex is part of the marriage covenant. Sex is worship to the Lord within the bounds of marriage. It is a deep betrayal, not just to your spouse, but to God. So if you have a husband who has committed adultery, just know that this man has broken the covenant of marriage. He could be a man who did it one time. He could be a man who is a serial adulterer. He's constantly having all of these infidelity situations. He could be a man who has other addictions that are considered sexual immorality, like maybe he is addicted to pornography or he's addicted to other very lewd behaviors that break that marriage covenant. Your situation is yours, and I don't know the ins and outs, but just know that when these things happen, spiritually, you're breaking something. But you may think, okay, I understand it's broken, but what do I do about it? Should I confront him? Should I just allow it to happen? How am I going to support myself? What if I really want this to work and I just want him to get better? Ultimately, first and foremost, you have a right to be angry, to be hurt, to feel betrayed, to feel whatever it is that you feel because you were wronged. And no one can take that away from you. But in terms of how you move forward with that, one thing that's going to be really important, not just to yourself, but to God, is the man's disposition about the whole thing. Is he truly repentant? And I'm not talking about him just being sorry that he got caught. I'm not talking about him just trying to brush it off and do things to make it go away. I'm talking about his heart. Is he truly repentant? Repentance means that you now see a situation as being wrong and you are turning away from it. You're changing your mind about it. You're saying, okay, at a certain time, I may have been okay with this, but now I no longer believe this is okay. And I'm turning away from it. That is called repentance. Is a man truly repentant? Has he explicitly said to you and showcased that this is something that he truly is regretful for? That he would never want to do it again? And has he shown steps to say that he does not ever want to be in that situation again? One thing that I want you to remember in this, because ladies, you are in so many different situations. Like, when I read and hear from women who have been in this situation, and I get it a lot, I receive a lot of emails and messages about this, and they're always very unique. So there's not a one size fits all in this situation. Some of you ladies have been dealing with this for years. Some of you ladies have been married for 30 years, and then this man tells you that he did something 15 years ago. Some of you ladies are dealing with this on a consistent basis. Your husband is dealing with prostitutes. He's sleeping with his ex from high school. He is dealing with a woman who he works with and pretending like it's just his secretary. There are so many situations that are going on, and they're all unique but equally painful. And your husband's response to this is really what's going to dictate how you can heal and move forward. This is a spiritual world. That is a really important thing for you to remember. This is more important than anything, is realizing that we live in a spiritual world. All of our actions are influenced by spirits. So whether you are thinking a certain thing, whether you are doing certain things, there are entities involved in that influence of your decisions. So your husband, yes, he is a grown man who can make his own decisions, but there is influence. There is influence from spirits that are impacting his choices. So if this man is not spiritually strong and connected to God, the repentance probably won't last. If this man is not aware of his shortcomings, like maybe he has addictions and other things that lead to this behavior. It's not just that he is committing adultery, but he also is struggling with drugs or drinking or other things. They directly impact this behavior. This is one of those things that if you really want your marriage to work, because your marriage is being impacted in a spiritual way, it's important for you to fight spiritually. Yes, you're going to want to go back and forth with him. You're going to want to do a lot of things. You may want to separate. You may want to go to counseling. All those things have a place. But remember, this is something that needs to be fought spiritually. If you took 40 days and prayed and fasted for 40 days about your husband in terms of this infidelity, in terms of his well-being, in terms of spiritual things going on inside of him, in terms of things that are going on with him in his family bloodline, and all of the things, 40 whole days, I promise you, you would see a change in his behavior. Why? Because you're fighting spiritually, and the angels and the spirits that are good spirits from God will be influencing him during that time. That's how important spiritual things are. And you would see a positive shift in your husband. You don't even have to go 40 days. You could fast for 7 days and pray for him and the marriage, and you would see a shift. That is how strongly we are influenced spiritually. So I just want to put that out there, because I know that it is easy for us to just take what we see and react and deal with what we see. And our minds play tricks on us because, again, our minds are being influenced by spirits. A lot of people will say they love their husbands and they don't want the devil to win. They know that this is more than just their husband going out and cheating on them. There could be someone who's actually working witchcraft against your marriage and has done things in the spirit that are affecting your husband's behavior. It is not always what it seems. So always fight spiritually with God. Don't go to some voodoo worker, fortune teller, herbalist, tarot reader. Don't go to all of those evil, dark places. Go to the creator of the heavens and the earth, the name above all names, Jesus. He is the only one that could actually create a shift in this marriage, because it is a spiritual battle. But dealing with the day-to-day, dealing with the ins and outs of the situation, the core is going to be, is this man repentant? In the natural, is he showing that he is not just sorry that he got caught, but he truly wishes he would have never done it. And he is dedicated to changing. He is not playing the victim. He is not blaming you for his behavior. He's not pointing fingers at you. He is allowing you to grieve and to vent and to take as long as you need. Ask as many questions, monitor him, do whatever it takes for this to go away. That is a sign that he is truly repentant. If he is willing to cut off all ties to the behavior, whether it be leaving that job if he has to, whether it be cutting off certain friends or dealing with certain addictions that are leading to this, he is willing to do whatever it takes for the marriage. That is a sign of repentance. Now, I know that this is exhausting. It is emotionally exhausting. It is spiritually exhausting. It is mentally exhausting dealing with a man who is a cheater. Some of you ladies knew this man had these tendencies because he did it while you were dating. And that's why if any of you ladies are dating a man who has cheated on you, I tell you right now, get out. Yeah, of course he can change, but the chances are slim. If you're not even married and he's doing this, then he's showing you that you are not valued at that level already. There are other things, of course, that impact that, but that is unacceptable. Sex is sacred. It is something that is done within the bounds of marriage. If you know this man has a problem and he is not willing to change it, then you have to start looking at solutions. Prayer, fasting, counseling, because after a betrayal of this sort, you may start questioning a lot of things about yourself. It tears at your self-esteem. It tears at your whole existence, honestly. It can. And you need to be rooted in God. Get connected to a church. Get connected to people who have a relationship with God if you don't already. Start to build yourself back up. And I know the question of divorce is going to come up. This video is not one that I want to be extremely long or to go into every single avenue of this. If you have recommended videos, leave a comment and I will surely try to create content to help with specific topics within this. But I know a lot of people will say that their husbands are not repentant. They have no desire to change. They're actually getting bolder and they're dealing with this woman in front of their face. They don't care anymore. They're talking to her on social media. They might even be having her around. Then you're in a completely different situation, right? It is still your marriage, though. You still have authority over it, and God is still on your side with this. He does not want everything to crumble because the enemy, the devil, Satan, attacks marriages. He attacks married people because you're the ones who are doing things God's way. You're the one who resemble God. You are Jesus's bride, and Jesus is your husband spiritually, in the sense of the church and Christ. So the devil, seeing all the dynamics and all the ties and understanding the spiritual things that we maybe don't understand about marriage and how that directly connects to God and how he deals with us and how Jesus interacts with us, he wants to sever that. He comes against that. He wants to pervert that. He wants to ruin that. He knows that when you ruin a marriage, you ruin a family. The children are involved. The children then become destroyed or severely hurt and need lots of help to bounce back from that. Those children may not even get married because of what they've seen. He knows it creates a family of chaos, a community of chaos, and therefore a nation of chaos. The devil uses marriage to try to destroy humanity. So that's the bigger picture. That's zooming out. Zooming in, you may say, well, I don't want to be with this man because he does not value me, respect me, and I want a divorce. But I know God hates divorce. I'm in no way here to try to convince you to divorce your husband. I also hate divorce and I think it's absolutely awful. But I also understand why people get divorced. I understand all of it. What I want to say to those ladies who are in really horrific situations and want to leave, but the church and people are telling them, well, God hates divorce. I just want to let you know, God hates a lot of things. It's not just divorce that he hates. And I think it's really interesting that people always zoom in on that specifically. Like that's the only thing God has said that he hates in the Bible. God also says specifically that he hates arrogant eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush to evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and a person who stirs up conflict in the community. This is Proverbs 6:16. Those are all things that God hates. And it says that specifically in the Bible. It's not just divorce that he hates. So just realize that, yes, God does hate it, but he also hates lots of other things. And there is reconciliation available, but there are steps in guarding your heart and understanding that this needs to be truly revamped. Now, God is a God who can do all things. In his word that he says that there is nothing that is too hard for the Lord. Nothing is impossible with God. It is absolutely possible for your marriage to come back together. It is absolutely possible for the Lord to heal your marriage. It is absolutely possible for the Lord to be able to create miracles in your husband's heart and in your home to make this situation like it never happened. God is a God of miracles. He can do anything. And some of the greatest miracles are not seeing a blind person see or someone who cannot walk, but the miracle of the heart, the miracle of being able to go through something so extremely devastating and come out of it healed. Be able to actually try to even channel that pain, but it's actually gone. That is a miracle that the Lord does. And he says in his word that He heals the brokenhearted. He binds up their wounds. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. If you're in this situation, lean into God. It is a rabbit hole of pain when you're experiencing something so devastating and you're telling everyone, you're researching things online, you're in depression because the devil got you. Give it to God. Pour your burdens on him and ask him for wisdom. Only he can reveal whether or not your husband is repentant, and only he can truly put things back into place. Yes, the covenant is broken spiritually. Once a person commits adultery, that union is severed. Even if you don't get a divorce, spiritually, the covenant has been broken. However, there can be reconciliation. There can be healing through Christ, and things can be even better than they ever were before. This has happened to so many people. They have overcome this. So I want you to take the time and pray and fast and talk to God about the situation, what is best in your particular circumstance. But realize that this is something many couples, unfortunately, do have to deal with. Remember that it is a spiritual battle and that there are things happening in your marriage that need to be confronted, both in the physical and in the spirit. And when you do that, you will see miracles happen within your home. Again, I'm so sorry that you have to experience this. It is absolutely awful. But just know that there are better days ahead, whether they are with or without your husband, when you are seated with Christ. I hope that you experience the love of Jesus throughout this video, and I hope that you are able to leave encouraged to know that there is hope for the future, that you actually have more power over the situation than you may think, and that there can be healing, hope, and reconciliation in the future. Thank you for spending your time here with me. I love you so much, and I pray that your marriage is restored, renewed, and healed. Until next time, bye-bye.